All right, welcome back, everyone. We are now going to be talking about the 9 centers, and this is really a significant piece. And so a lot of what you've been learning is building a foundation. One building block builds to another. So much of what you're going to be learning in this section is going to be really useful. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Natalie, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Yes, the 9 centers. Traditionally, when we talk about the chakra system or the energy centers, typically people look at 7 centers, and in human design, we look at as 9 centers. And each of these energy centers, as you see, has a name. Sometimes the names are interchangeable, like let's just take the one on the far left. The spleen is also the intuitive or the instinct. So if you can not get so locked into the word that's here, because some of them have more than one word that kind of describes what that center does, and they all have a biological function and way more. We could, each center has a function. And so we're going to go into each one of these through this series. And you want to be aware of which of the centers you have that are open or white, undefined, and which centers are closed or colored in or defined. And we're going to walk you through all that. So here we go. If you have a center, any center that is opened or undefined or white, this is how it functions. It is what we mean by amplify. It magnifies. When you're around somebody else that may have the center that you have white, they may have it colored in, then you pick that up and it may become even stronger. Or it can be a little bit distorted. It may not be fully functioning, or you might get some confusion in that particular center. It can be reactive. And we'll go into detail with each of the centers with this, but I just want you to get an idea of how each one of these can possibly function, or you just don't understand. It's like, I'm a little confused in that area of my life. Or maybe you're not confused when you're by yourself, but you get confused when you're around somebody else. Because whenever we get around someone else, if you remember back to the early trainings, we have an aura, right? 15 feet up, down, front, back, all around us. And so when an aura gets with another aura, then that means that we get an opportunity to interact with other people, such as our life on planet Earth with 7 billion people. Okay, next. If the center is colored in, if it's closed, it's defined, it functions differently. It's turned on 24/7. That energy is yours 24/7. It's always functioning, and it sends out energy. And you don't have to try to make that happen. You can just notice how that happens, what you're sending out. It can be a dominant. If somebody has, let's say they have 7 of the 9 centers colored in, and they're around someone that only has 2 centers colored in, the one with the 7, they're the more dominant energy in the room. And obviously that can influence others. So the more centers that you have colored in, the more you influence others. And that is the area, when we get into the details, you'll see how that influences other people and in what way. This is just an overview. And so now that we've given you the invitation here is to get your chart printed. Where's your chart? You want to have that. By now, you probably already have a binder, and you already have a couple of different ways colored of your chart printed out. And now we're going to add to that binder is the worksheets to help you organize your notes and organize your thoughts as we go through each of these. So have those ready. And be listening in a couple of different ways. Listen to what resonates with you. I mean, you might just have a big aha. It's like, oh, no wonder. No wonder that happens with my son or my friend or my sister. When you understand what these different centers represents. And also, there may be some things that don't quite sound right, or you're like, well, I don't agree with that. That doesn't happen for me. Make your notes. It could mean a couple of different things, um, why you do or do not resonate with what's being presented here. My suggestion, our suggestion, to really get the most out of this section is to pick one of your centers. Doesn't matter if it's defined or undefined, but pick one and then stay focused on that and just be able to notice that over 10 days or what amount of time that feels good for you, that you've actually noticed how it affects or how it attracts or gets impacted by others.
Yeah, and I'll just say that when the familiar but untrue information, what that looks like for me, and maybe this just helps people to understand, is that sometimes somebody will say something to me and I will say something like, you're not the first person to say that, but I don't know, I don't see it that way. And so sometimes it's like you can't see what other people see, or you have been doing something for so long that feels normal and natural to you, but it really isn't actually part of your design, that your response is something you've conditioned yourself to do. But there's something else that's like, oh, like this is how I've always done it, but like doesn't fully, maybe it's not right for me or correct or true for me. So that's what I would say about that one. And then the bottom one, I remember when I was making this, the reason why I made sure to say, hey, just pick a center, is because I've always been one of those people who was like, where's the best place to start? Like, where's the right place to start? And I was like, there's really no right place to start. There's no wrong place to start. And maybe intuitively you just say like, what do I want to start with? Maybe there's something specific that you're very curious about, go there. But Nattalee also said, she's like, just go like this, just start here, randomly, point something out and just start there. Part of that is the deconditioning of that there is a right place, or
right, there's a right answer or a wrong answer.
Yeah,
there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
And this is all an experiment.
Right. So, which of course brings us to the last page.
There you go. It's an experiment. We're experimenting. And experimenting, this is what I tell people, is like, if you took a science class or biology or chemistry or anything where you're using a microscope, you're just observing what happens under the microscope. It's not like, oh, that's a bad thing or that's a good thing. It's like, no, you're just observing. And that's really where we want to bring you to, that place of neutrality, that place of just neutrality and go, oh, look at that. I just blah, 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 or I didn't do that. And so that's where the experiment goes, because that informs you. And this is what I really pride myself on, because I've been in human design so long. It's like you can have all the education that you want, but you want to embody it. And in order to embody it, you have to stay focused on just observing your life when you're by yourself, when you're with other people. So that's where you get the integration and the alignment, because then you know what works for you.
Yeah. Embodying something that's not aligned feels different in the body than embodying something that's like, this is meant for me. But you have to be able to sit with that and observe it with a place of curiosity, as opposed to judgment of like, oh, I'm doing it wrong, this doesn't feel good. That's not what that means. Like, oh, this doesn't feel good, what else is there? Not you're doing it wrong, what else is there? So have some fun with this. It's going to be a huge section. We're going to break it down into multiple videos depending on the types of centers, right? So we're doing pressure centers next.
Yes.
But ease into the information, and most importantly, take the time to do this, the experiment, integrate, and alignment. So I think we'll wrap it up and head to the next one. Do you have any last thoughts before we move into this? It's so exciting. Okay, away we go, she says. All right, everyone, thank you.